Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is Wednesday, October 24th. It's week 9 in college football, and we are doing a segment that I look forward to every single week. We're going to talk in depth about one college football game with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. For first-time viewers who might not be familiar with who Steve from collegefootballwinning.com is, I've personally been doing videos with him for, I think it's 8 years. Steve from collegefootballwinning.com does only one thing. No NBA, no NHL, no NFL, no CFL, no WNBA, none of that. Only college football, and he does it very, very, very well. Today we're going to talk about Army and Eastern Michigan, an interesting showdown. And Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, tell us how things have been going for you this past year and this past week in particular.
Thank you for that very kind introduction, Peter. So far on the season here at collegefootballwinning.com, we are 55-31 against the spread. So that's winning at the rate of 63.95% against the spread. Between last week and now, we were 8-5. So good, profitable, but not necessarily boast-worthy per se. But since you asked about how we did this past week, there you go. So overall in the season, 55-31 against the spread.
Awesome. Congratulations, Steve. And we'll talk more about Steve's website at the end of this video. Right now, we're going to get into Army against Eastern Michigan. Of course, we did cover the Army game last week, which was a little bit quirky, right? We found out before the game that their starting quarterback, Kelvin Hopkins, was going to be out for the game. I wound up telling you, Steve, I wound up taking Army, but I also took the over, which was also a bad play, but did win because of overtime. And I also took the Army team total over, which was also probably a bad bet, but which also cashed because of overtime. So officially on the game, I had a bad read on it, but I won 2 out of my 3 bets. I'll definitely take it. And this week we're going to take a look at Army going up against Eastern Michigan, another Army against a MAC team clash. And, I'm thinking kind of the same thing here. I'm thinking that probably the over, the very low total, might be worth a shot here. Eastern Michigan is not good at stopping the run. We know that. Not exactly sure how much of their defense they'll want to expend trying to do that here. So even though I think Hopkins is scheduled to be out again, Army probably puts up some points here. Army's defense might be a little bit worn out from last week against after the overtime game against Miami. And Eastern Michigan, as we know, has an offense that can be very productive. They put up a big number last week. Very low total here, 47.5 or 48. So I'd be leaning over. And as far as the side is concerned, I have no opinion as of right now, but I can tell you that the 2 handicappers that I talked about this game with in the pre-snap reads show both liked Army at +2. And I can also tell you, I'm sure as you are aware, at this very moment, the market is uncertain right now. It's a split line. 1, 1.5, and 2 are all widely available. I'd be leaning over. Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, take it away. Your analysis of Army against Eastern Michigan.
Yes, excellent introduction. I'm going to begin. I'm so glad. I don't know who the other handicappers were who you were talking to about this game, but in general, I like to, I've always said if I could quantify hype, then we could make tons and tons of money in sports betting in general, and specifically in college football betting. So I am glad to hear that you have unanimity on the Army side, because if you look at Eastern Michigan, they're 1-7 straight up all time versus Army. And you can say, well, okay, ancient history really doesn't matter. And to an extent, I would agree with you. But with these 2 head coaches, Jeff Monken, head coach at Army, Chris Creighton, head coach at Eastern Michigan is 0-2 straight up, 1-1 against the spread. But the last time Army played in Ypsilanti, like they're playing this time, it was in 2015 with these 2 head coaches, with these schools, and Army covered the spread by 20 points. So you and a couple of the handicappers you talked to might think that Army is the right side here. Well, I don't think so.
Actually, I was leaning Eastern Michigan and a little bit stronger to the over, actually, in my personal handicapping, my personal analysis of this game.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was definitely
your personal.
And I'll tell you why. I was leaning Eastern Michigan just because I'm looking at this. First of all, I think Eastern Michigan's a little bit underrated and undervalued in general this year. And also, I think Army off an overtime, win at home, now going on the road against a team that has some life to them, it just feels like a tough spot for them.
Yeah, I like your. I don't have. I don't really have a comment on the total, but I like your lean on Eastern Michigan, and I'm going to give you some statistics that will sort of back this up. So good to hear that your instincts are good here, Peter. Army, under head coach Jeff Monken, is 3-7 against the spread in games where the spread is a field goal or less, like this game. and that includes going 1-6 against the spread in his last 7 such games. Meanwhile, not only does Eastern Michigan head coach Chris Creighton have a winning against the spread record in those games, but the guy, Peter, since he came to Eastern Michigan the same time that Jeff Monken came to Army. It was before the 2014 season. Chris Creighton at Eastern Michigan beats the spread since he's been at Eastern Michigan 58.93% of the time. So you want to talk about, you already mentioned undervalued. Not only has the Eastern Michigan been undervalued under him in general, but very specifically, he is an astounding, Peter, 24-9 against the spread since hiring his defensive coordinator before the 2016 season. So 3 seasons, he's 24-9 against the spread with defensive coordinator Neil Nethery. And I do think the defensive coordinator plays an important part. 24-9, Peter, that is showing you that it is truly an undervalued program in the public eye. By the way, last year's game between these two schools was at West Point. It resulted in Eastern Michigan losing the game straight up by a single point because they went for 2. It was a 2-point conversion with 49 seconds left, and they failed by about 4 inches, but they did cover the spread. So this year, I believe that Eastern Michigan is in a better position to beat Army this year and cover the spread. Since Jeff Monken has been head coach at Army, Army is just 41.67% against the spread when opposing quarterbacks complete at least 65% of their passes. Well, Eastern Michigan has the most accurate passer in the MAC in Tyler Wiegers. And if you don't know much about him, Peter, he is a graduate transfer from Iowa. And he was pushing Nate Stanley at Iowa for the starting position at Iowa. He's a Michigan native. He graduated Iowa, transferred to Eastern Michigan, went back home. Wiegers has exceeded the not only 65% completion percentage mark, but the 70% completion rate in 6 of his 8 games so far this season. Unlike Eastern Michigan's defense, which has gotten markedly better since hiring defensive coordinator Neil Nethery before the 2016 season, this is Army's worst passing defense as measured by passing yards per attempt since Jeff Monken came to West Point. Army allows 8.2 yards per attempt. That's per attempt versus FBS competition, which is bad enough to rank 101st in the country. Eastern Michigan head coach Chris Creighton does very well in out-of-conference games. So here's my proof. You know this, Peter, but maybe not all viewers know this. Before the 2016-2017 season, I wrote a book called The Betting Black Book with your help. Peter Loshak wrote the foreword. And in that book, the book provided analyzed betting data on all the FBS coaches. One of the categories in the book was a coach's against the spread record out of conference, like this game. Eastern Michigan, under head coach Chris Creighton, is 15-5 against the spread all time for Chris Creighton's non-conference games since he's been head coach at Eastern Michigan. And that includes going a perfect 10-0 against the spread, Peter, in his last 10 out of conference games. 10-0. Perfect. Undervalued? Absolutely. So, as you could tell, Peter, Eastern Michigan, they've lost. You could tell that, obviously, I want the Eastern. I'm recommending the Eastern Michigan side. Eastern Michigan has lost 4 games straight up this year. They're 4-4 is their overall record. But they've lost their 4 games straight up by a grand total of 16 points and none by more than a touchdown. This is the same Eastern Michigan team that beat Purdue at Purdue this year. That same Purdue team that just crushed Ohio State. This is a revenge spot for Eastern Michigan, as we already talked about. It's Eastern Michigan's homecoming. I like Eastern Michigan giving up just a point, but bettors might want to consider monitoring this line to get Eastern Michigan as a pick'em, since Army's getting around 60% of the public betting, and the line already dipped to a pick'em game yesterday here in Las Vegas in places like the Superbook at the Westgate and the Caesars properties. Right now, as you said, both offshore and many places in Las Vegas, you can get Eastern Michigan -1. So that is my recommendation, taking Eastern Michigan, giving up no more than a point. And I think if you're a wise shopper, you hang around, I think you can get this at a pick'em game for Eastern Michigan.
Awesome analysis, Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. This is what he does. Again, split line right now, -2, 1.5, or 1. Steve from College Football recommending taking one of the -1s that is widely available right now. Steve, for people who want to know more about you, tell us what you do at your website, collegefootballwinning.com.
At collegefootballwinning.com, all the company does is college football betting analysis all year round. We're a company founded on making betting recommendations for just college football and doing so using sets of algorithms. We call those algorithmic betting recommendations our formula. The lifetime of the formula coming into this season was 60.66% against the spread. As you know, Peter, I've been doing 8 seasons with you and SBR. This season so far, for all of our betting recommendations, 55 and 31 against the spread. That's winning at a rate of 63.95 against the spread. That's all good news. The bad news is if you wanted to join us, you're going to have to get on our waiting list. We're currently closed to new clients, but go to collegefootballwinning.com and you can join our waiting list, and we'd be glad to have you.
Steve, thanks so much. I look forward to talking to you again, once again, next week.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.